The Lions steamrolled the Packers 34-20 on Thursday night. My biggest takeaway from this game is that the Lions, without a doubt, are miles ahead of the rest of the teams in the NFC North. They're going to win this division, and they're going to do it with ease. The Packers, at this moment, look like the second best team in this division, and they couldn't even keep it close with the Lions in this game. It was 27-3 at halftime. Green Bay was down a good amount of key players on defense and on the offensive line, and that definitely was a big reason why they lost this game. But the Lions just overall look like the more dominant and better football team in all phases. Offensively, their offensive line was pushing around the Green Bay Packers defense all night. David Montgomery looked like a man possessed. He was a damn monster truck in this game. He had 32 carries for 131 rushing yards and 3 damn touchdowns. And my biggest knock on Detroit and this win is that I would have liked to see Jahmyr Gibbs utilized a lot more than what he was in this ball game. I understand that David Montgomery was going off and he couldn't be stopped, but there was a play in this game in the first half when the Detroit Lions went empty, and instead of having Jahmyr Gibbs out wide, they had David Montgomery out wide running a vertical route. I just don't understand why Ben Johnson isn't utilizing Jahmyr Gibbs more. And I guess in hindsight, it doesn't matter because you still walk away with the win. You're 3-1 right now, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that the Lions would draft Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round and not really utilize him all that much. If you're going to draft somebody in the first round, they should have a pretty big impact on the success that your team has. I think that the Lions would have been better suited at just going ahead and drafting Jalen Carter. But Jahmyr Gibbs, he did get a couple of carries and a couple of touches in this game when David Montgomery needed a break, but it just was a little bit disappointing not to see Jahmyr Gibbs on the field more in this game. Now, Detroit's offensive line, they were fantastic. Not just in the run blocking department, but also when it came to protecting Jared Goff. They only gave up 1 sack. Their defensive line got after Jordan Love all night. Jordan Love got sacked 4 times in this game. He didn't really look that comfortable, and the Lions didn't really give this offense a chance to really get anything going on offense. And for the Green Bay Packers, you know, even though they lost this game in a really ugly way, I still think that this is a team that's more than capable of being able to make it to the playoffs. They were down a good amount of key players in this game. Luke Musgrave, Jair Alexander, key starters on the offensive line not being able to suit up. Jordan Love being a young quarterback, he isn't at the stage of his career where he can overcome limitations. For Jordan Love to be successful early on, he needs his full supporting cast. And if the Packers aren't at 100% on the offensive line, there's no way Jordan Love is going to be able to lead the Packers to the win, especially if they can only get 27 total yards rushing. I mean, the Green Bay Packers, when you think of their identity on offense, you think running the football. Jordan Love, he's played pretty well up to this point of the season, but if the run game isn't there, I don't think you're going to have a lot of success offensively. And the Packers got out to a slow start, not just in this game, but in their win when they came back from behind against the New Orleans Saints. If the Packers are going to be able to beat some of the best teams in the NFC, they got to be able to get out to a much faster start than what they have been over the last couple of weeks. You're not going to win too many games when you have to come back from behind down multiple possessions. They got a really talented defense, but Joe Barry isn't a really good defensive coordinator. As a matter of fact, he may be one of the worst defensive coordinators in the NFL. The same problem that the Packers had last year is plaguing them this season. They weren't able to stop the damn run game. David Montgomery was like a damn bulldozer. Every time he got the ball, the fool was picking up at least 4 yards per carry, it looked like. I know the stats say 3 point something, but if you watch this game, it looked like every time David Montgomery got the ball, he was at least picking up a first down. At least that's what it seemed like watching him play in this game. And then the Packers defense late in this game, when they had the opportunity to get the ball back to their offense, and instead of this being a 3 possession loss, or a 3-possession game at one point. It could have been a 2-possession game because the Detroit Lions, they kicked the field goal, but the Green Bay Packers unfortunately ended up committing a penalty, and it allowed the Detroit Lions to end up standing on the field and scoring that third touchdown, which ultimately put this game out of reach for the Packers to come back and win. Green Bay, they didn't have all the horses in this game, but even if they were fully healthy, I still don't think they would have won this game. It probably would have been a little bit closer, but the Lions just are far and ahead, the best team in the NFC North, and it's not really close. The Lions, if you were somebody who questioned the legitimacy of this team and you questioned if they were going to be able to live up to the hype, you got your answers, because in their first four games, they're 3-1. They've looked really good on defense. They have a better defense this season than what they had last year, and it's not even close. And Jared Goff in this offense, they're clicking on all cylinders. This is one of the most scariest teams in the NFL. And if you're looking for a team that could be a surprise Super Bowl contender, it definitely has to be the Detroit Lions. You see, the Detroit Lions, I think people view this team as a really good football club. But in terms of their chances of being able to compete with Philadelphia and San Francisco, I don't really think that many people believe that the Lions are a Super Bowl caliber team, and they are. They're really good on front, on the offensive line and defensive line. You got a really good offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson. You got Jared Goff, who's looked like one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league up to this point. The Lions have all the necessary pieces in order to make a shot or make a run at the Super Bowl this year. And it may sound crazy because the Lions have been pretty much one of the biggest laughingstocks in the National Football League for a couple of decades. But this is definitely the beginning of a new era when it comes to the Detroit Lions. This team is legit. Dan Campbell has this team ready to play. He has them locked in and focused, and they're playing some really good football right now, improving to 3-1 on the season, and they're without a doubt the best team in the NFC North. Jordan Love and this offense, despite the injuries that they had to deal with, they came out flat. They couldn't run the football. The offense was out of sorts early, and they never really got into rhythm. And even when they got a little bit going offensively in the second half, they still really didn't look all that efficient. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to write off the Green Bay Packers. Before the season, I said this is a playoff team if Jordan Love plays at a serviceable level. They got a good roster. Their defense, although they got a terrible play caller at the helm at DC, they still got a lot of talent out there. Rashawn Gary had a really good game. This wasn't just an all-around bad performance by the Green Bay Packers. There definitely are a couple of takeaways that you can look back on when you think of how this game went. You definitely had a couple of solid performances, but for the most part, this team looked flat, and the Lions just got the better of the Packers. Let me know what you guys think about this game down in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the JT Sports Podcast. We're not just a YouTube channel. Every video that's uploaded on the channel is available in audio format on all podcasting platforms: Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast from. The JT Sports Podcast is available.